Nithyananda everyone, it's the Kundalini Yogini. Welcome back to my channel. First off, I cannot believe I haven't made this video yet, especially since I named my channel the Kundalini Yogini. I've had so many people ask me right away, well, what is Kundalini? And it's a great question, and one which I think is misinterpreted and misanswered by a lot of people out there, so I decided I would make a video about it finally. So in short, I am a yogini who has been studying under one of the greatest enlightened masters of our time, an avatar as per Hinduism. His name is Paramahamsa Nithyananda, and I've been having the blessing of studying directly under him the science of yoga, one of the most ancient spiritual practices in the world. And just to give a little context on where I'll be speaking from, I am speaking from the context of Sanatana Hindu Dharma, the oldest living spiritual tradition, and on the yogic sciences, on the understanding of what is Kundalini. And I'll start just by sharing with you guys one of my favorite quotes on what is Kundalini by my guru Paramahamsa Nithyananda. He shared that it makes you feel the pure presence without anyone present. And I just thought that was so beautiful and really encapsulates what it is like when you're experiencing a Kundalini awakening. I myself have had my Kundalini awaken for about 3 years now, and at will I can play with my Kundalini energy, my Kundalini Shakti, because I've been initiated by a master into the science, but I'll dive a little into that later. So let's get started. For all of human history, as long as human beings have existed, human beings have been plagued with that eternal knowing that there was something greater, there was a higher potential inside of them. And this is always that same force which drives people to seek greatness, to seek extraordinary capacity, whether that's expressing through intellect or art or in the spiritual aspect. Contrary to what society and even our parents have told us, most of us do feel that there is an untapped potential inside of us, an untapped greatness. And throughout time, there are so many people which express this greatness in form. Masters of the arts and sciences like Einstein, masters of art and beauty like Michelangelo, and ultimately those that express the purest form of that spiritual energy, great masters revealing spiritual truths like Buddha, Krishna, Shiva, Patanjali. Any growth inside of us, whether it's in any field, whether it's wealth or sports or medicine or our inner work, comes from the same place. It comes from that inner potential which resides inside of our being. And this inner potential energy is known as Kundalini, the Kundalini Shakti. There are so many definitions out there on what Kundalini is, but in the most easily understandable form, that inner energy inside of each and every one of us that comes from ourself, doesn't come outside of ourself, but comes from inside. And there's only 3 things I want you guys to take away from this. 3 things I want you guys to remember. That is understanding what Kundalini is properly. 2, dropping all of your fear regarding the topic. And 3, how to use the guidance of a master to awaken your Kundalini instantly. Now, at an intellectual or more scientific level, we can understand Kundalini as that inner potential energy. But at a more metaphysical and spiritual level, for those of you that are interested, Kundalini is considered a goddess in her own. She's actually an embodiment of the feminine energy, the divine, the divine feminine. That is why we call it the Kundalini Shakti. And to fully understand how this energy works in our system, we have to understand the system it's functioning in, which is not just the physical body, but the metaphysical body, what we call the chakras, which are the 7 energy centers, the 7 main energy centers we understand in Hinduism. And this starts with the Muladhara chakra, or the root chakra, which is at the base of your spine. And your highest chakra, your crown chakra, is called your Sahasrara chakra, which is at the crown of your head. And basically the whole goal, the whole idea of Kundalini is that in most of us, almost all of us, our Kundalini is trapped in our lowest chakra, that first chakra, in the base of our spine. So there's this untapped inner potential, which is actually both a physical, existing, real, tangible energy, and also the metaphysical energy, the divine feminine energy, which expresses, and it's sitting in the base of our spine. And it's locked inside this chakra because most of us have our chakras blocked. And if it's trapped in the first one, it can't work its way up and up and up into the higher level chakras. So through Kundalini awakening, we want to work that energy so that it can pierce through all 7 chakras and eventually make its way to the Sahasrara chakra, the crown chakra. And while it passes through the Sushumna Nadi, it expresses fully as Kundalini awakening. And quite often this energy has been depicted as that of a serpent or a snake. And this is because the snake has a lot of spiritual significance in Hinduism. And again, like I shared, it's tied to the divine feminine, the mother energy, and the creative expressive force of the universe, which is Shakti. And this has been extremely misinterpreted and abused by many different religions and spiritual practices and misunderstandings to date. Interestingly though, there has been some medical studies actually done on Kundalini energy, Kundalini awakening, and its physical effects in the body. In the 1900s, Isaac Bentoff actually showed that Kundalini awakening stimulated and opened the non-mechanical parts of the brain. These are parts of the brain which we never saw used before in a human being. And as most of you guys probably know, we use less than 10% of our brain throughout our whole life. So all that's hidden there, the potential that's hidden there, Kundalini actually helps us unlock these parts of our brain. So when you're experiencing a Kundalini awakening, the direct result is you are now actually experiencing the state of consciousness, the state of conscious coherence, which other enlightened masters are experiencing. It puts you in that state. And another really fascinating study that they did in a larger group of people was in 2011 at Inner Awakening, which is a program I've actually attended, where I first met my master, Paramahamsa Nithyananda, or Sri Nithyananda Swami, as some people know him. And they did a study on the participants of the program who had their Kundalini awakened by Swamiji for 18 days straight. And it proved so successful, and they could directly see how this affected the people. They basically hooked them up to QEEG machines where they could basically track and show their brain function. And they saw that a ton of brainwave activation was happening in the frequency which we don't usually see, like delta and alpha waves. And the participants were directly in this state of restful awareness, which is this extreme calm that in the yogic practice we actually call samadhi. And all of the people were shown to have extremely high levels of contentment, happiness, and they had a higher cognitive level, better memory, clearer brain function, and better focus. So now that we're starting to understand a little bit about more what Kundalini is, I want to take us to step 2, which is dropping our fear completely. And the reason why I tell you this is a very important part of the process is because sadly there's a lot of fear programming around Kundalini and Kundalini energy, and even Eastern religion in general. If you were raised in a Western background like me, any representation of this kind of an energy work in the media is quite often portrayed as demonic, as evil, as out of control, as possessive, and there's so much fear regarding Kundalini, why you shouldn't open your third eye, why you shouldn't open or awaken your Kundalini and mess with this evil entity and energy. And all of it comes from not only racial and religious biases, but a complete misunderstanding and conspiracy against enlightenment, which vested interests in the West and including in different religions such as Christianity have against Hinduism and the yogic processes of awakening. Now, these are yogic sciences, some of the oldest sciences literally in the world, which have existed before the idea of Christianity ever did. And this is not something to be scared of. This is something to explore and grow with and just enjoy the bliss that it comes with it, because it is the ultimate feeling of ecstasy, experiencing that Kundalini awakening. I can really tell you that. And just to put it into a comparison that might be understandable for some of you guys, if you've ever experienced or even felt slightly that bit of that sexual energy, which is usually happening in our lower region, which we call the Muladhara chakra, usually in that lowest level chakra, we have maybe experienced a sexual type of energy, that pure feeling you feel, it takes over your whole body. Now imagine that times 1,000, and it's happening through your whole body. This is what a Kundalini awakening feels like. You can physically feel the energy flowing through you. And it's not something to be scared of. It's something which is only awakening higher potential in us in every aspect, not only intellectually and physically, but also spiritually, right? And so it's awakening so much potential in us. It allows us to express things we actually could never have expressed before. And it's truly what I believe a part of the human evolution, the quantum leap which we're making. And I think that the more and more humans that get to experience this are going to transition to the next level of consciousness and help facilitate the entire movement of the human consciousness rising on planet Earth. So if you do have any preconceived notions or fears regarding this topic, I just ask you and implore you to just drop them. Drop what you think you know and explore, and you can explore in a safe way, and that's kind of what I'm going to lead into. So even if you are a little intimidated by this topic, nervous about what you might experience because maybe you're new to this whole thing, which I definitely was a few years back, there's a beautiful way you can experience Kundalini awakening and activation in the most safe way possible. And that is through initiation by a master. And as I said, there's many ways you can open and stimulate the Kundalini, and I'm not going to go into all of those ways. Now, you can do it on your own, and many people do, or try to experiment for many, many years playing with Kundalini. I know I've personally met in my yogic journey, in my yogic path, many people who have been practicing Kundalini yoga for literally their whole life, and they've never had a full Kundalini awakening. It can be a kind of a tricky thing because trying to align all of our energy centers through all of the emotional and conscious blocks we have, and through the physical toxins which block our body, such as, our environmental pollution, the diet that we've grown up with, alcohol or drug consumption, it blocks our energy flow in the body. We literally can't get past those barriers. But with an enlightened being, an enlightened master who is already in that space, it's like one candle just passing the flame to another. It becomes that easy. So that's why I have a beautiful and exciting message for you guys. If you are interested in activating and awakening your Kundalini, you can do this very easily, simply through the presence of an awakened and enlightened being, an avatar, Paramahamsa Nithyananda, and he makes himself available in so many different forms. You do not need to go to India to experience this, although I highly implore that you do that. It's a beautiful, beautiful experience. And you also don't even have to pay anything or do anything on your own. I'm going to give you guys one technique which he gifted to the world, which he actually explained as the sum of all of his trying out hundreds and thousands of yogic techniques throughout his whole journey as a yogi, since he was around the age of 3, until he came out in his public life with this technique, which was basically the sum of the best of everything that he learned from the yogic scriptures and from trying them out on his own to see how they were effective. He put together this technique called the life bliss meditation, or sometimes you'll hear it called as the Nithya Dhyan meditation, and it is hands down the coolest, most intense and powerful meditation I have ever experienced. And very little has to happen on your part. You don't have to try to quiet your mind, all of that. There's actually a beautiful noise and sound and words which happen throughout the meditation, so it's guided. It's about, I think, 35 minutes long or something that it comes out to be. I'm linking the video down below. You can follow it along on YouTube. It is extremely powerful. And it's 3 different steps that you go through, very simple techniques, and it works your Kundalini through all of the 7 chakras until you experience the full Kundalini awakening. And the result is immense bliss, immense physical energy, conscious energy, creative energy, which expresses through you. Masters happen on this planet for a reason. It's so that we can use them. We can use them to our advantage. They're here only to gift these sciences to us, to re-gift the spirituality and the raw experiences to people who are open to seeking. So I just urge you guys to keep an open mind, and even if you've never heard of a master or a guru or Hinduism, give it a try, see what you experience, because it's a really incredibly powerful and positive experience. And I would love to hear you guys' experience also. So if you try out the meditation, I would love to hear your experiences below. Definitely comment. And if this video was helpful for you guys, please make sure to like, subscribe, and comment on my video, and follow along my channel for many more yogic techniques and truths that I'm discovering as I live alongside the master in India. Thank you guys so much for tuning in again, and I will see you very, very soon. Love you all. Be blissful.